Xin chào Scott, rất là vui và rất là vinh dự cho Beinks hôm nay mời được Scott đến chương trình Beinks Talk. Hiện nay anh Scott là người sáng lập của tổ chức Sống Thuần Chay. Thì Scott là người Anh nhưng mà đã sống tại Việt Nam được một thời gian. Thì không biết là Scott có thể chia sẻ một chút xíu về bản thân bằng tiếng Việt được hay không?
Ok, cảm ơn em và Beinks đã mời tôi chia sẻ câu chuyện của mình. Hy vọng nó sẽ có ích và truyền cảm hứng cho mọi người. Tôi là người Anh đã sinh sống tại Việt Nam từ năm 2011. Tôi là một người hoạt động vì động vật và nhà sáng lập, một founder của tổ chức Sống Thuần Chay với mục tiêu cải thiện phúc lợi của động vật chăn nuôi và giúp người dân Việt Nam hiểu được những lợi ích của chế độ ăn thuần thực vật.
Cảm ơn anh.
Hiểu không?
Dạ
Yeah.
hiểu.
Hiểu hả?
Dạ hiểu.
Okay. Yeah. That's good to know.
Yeah, I can understand perfectly, and I think your accent is really great. Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
So, Scott, you moved to Vietnam since 2011. So it has been 10 years, right? What brought you to Vietnam? How's your vegan journey has started? Could you be able to share about that?
So I'm 36 years old. So I remember kind of deciding to stop eating meat when I was 25. At that stage in my life, I had graduated in graphic design and I wasn't really happy with the prospect of beginning a career in London at that stage. And also the job market was quite difficult at the time. So I looked at kind of career opportunities that would allow me to travel. I thought traveling would be really beneficial for me. And maybe you can appreciate you living in Australia now, but I feel that you can understand yourself a little bit better when you are in a different environment. So that's been my experience. So that's been, I think, very beneficial for my self-growth. So yeah, I was interested in traveling. I learned about English teaching and I did a course and I was, I passed and came to Vietnam in 2011. And I just kind of really was very grateful for the opportunity to work with great students and also save money and have some free time, because as an English teacher, a lot of the times we work evenings and weekends. So I'd have a lot of free time during the day. So in terms of sort of me developing hobbies or interests, it's been really useful because I had free time to create Sống Thuần Chay and all these other things. I went vegan in around 2015. I watched a film called 𝗁𝗵𝗶𝗲, and at that stage I'd been sort of wanting to make that switch.
Okay, so from 2015 that you kind of started to adopt this vegan lifestyle.
Yes.
Because of this documentary 𝗁𝗵𝗶𝗲, right? It's one of the documentary that I have watched as well.
Yes.
So how long after that you decided to create Sống Thuần Chay?
It was about 3 years afterwards. So kind of what happened was there are forms of activism in the West. One is called the Cube of Truth, where you stand in a crowded place and you show footage of what happens to animals.
Yeah.
And we don't approach people. It's important to mention that we don't approach people. People come to us. They're curious. And we find that if people are starting the conversation, then most people are kind of at least more interested in what we have to hear. So we can have productive conversations with people that care about this issue. But having said that, it was still something that was opposed by the Vietnamese government, which I understand. But also, yeah, through that kind of that conversation with people, seeing what happens in factory farms and seeing all these animals being harmed brutally, people were interested. Like, they were thinking like, oh, you know, it's very bad. Like, what can I do about it? And we would say like, okay, well, go vegan or don't eat meat or anything like that. But people want to learn more. They need more information to make I think, a lifestyle choice like that. And I didn't see it. You know, I with my limited Vietnamese at the time, I Googled like, I think like anh trai như thế nào, and I didn't really find anything very like convincing or something that a lot of people would respect. You know, it would be like maybe like a blog post or an article on a Buddhist website. So yeah, it was kind of, Sống Thuần Chay was kind of addressed to was created, to address those needs.
Yeah. Talking about veganism, or vegan for short, I think to a lot of people, including me, I used to think of a vegan as a diet. So what do you think about it? Is vegan a diet, or is much more than that?
Yeah, so like the definition of veganism, it's about like not exploiting animals. And as sort of like we have a relationship with animals where we use them as food, we use them for entertainment, we use them for clothing, we use them for testing. So there are kind of like 4 main areas that animals are used. And if you adopt a vegan diet, then you address sort of one of those concerns. But you could still contribute to like wild animals or certain animals in like circuses and things like that, where they're often mistreated or badly kept. Testing. So like a lot of animals, especially like monkeys and rabbits, are tested on. And what was the other one? Clothing, like so fur items and things like that. So if you adopt a vegan diet, then that's great. It's probably like the biggest thing you can do to help animals, but it's not the full picture. There are certain other things that certain other lifestyles or things that we can stop doing, or habits to change to benefit animals. So like in short, I guess that because I'm a vegan, I eat a plant-based diet. I don't go to zoos. Whenever I buy healthcare products, I make sure they're not tested on animals. And then what else would it be? Yeah, so other things like that, like clothing, right? So silk is not vegan, wolf, like fur, that kind of stuff.
Yes. I think it's important for people to understand that vegan is not just limited to diet. It's actually it's like a lifestyle, right? It's not it's a lifestyle that we don't abuse or harm any animals. So
correct.
And for a person who become a vegan, I think there are a number of reasons as well. What are the common reasons for a person to become a vegan?
Popular reasons people go vegan. I think a lot of the time it's sort of like for a lot of people, they're really interested in the health argument. Because I think that sort of like people have like nutritional concerns, or they see a lot of people dying from chronic diseases, and they hear that like a plant-based diet can help. So I think that really interests people, because sort of like when you look at the scientific data, you see the people that eat the most plant-based foods, or whole plant-based foods, so not like processed grains and foods, etc., oils. Those people live longer and they have better health outcomes. They less likely to die of certain kinds of cancer, less likely to die of heart disease, less likely to get diabetes, those kinds of things. So I think initially, like, people are interested in this aspect. And I think for a lot of people, they might move on to the environmental concerns. So they understand that animal agriculture is very destructive to the environment. It produces more greenhouse gases than all transportation combined, and also like just the animal agriculture movement in general is responsible for like the leading cause of deforestation, leading cause of ocean dead zones, leading cause of species extinction. So these are like really huge issues, and for people to make that one switch, like to go plant-based, is very beneficial. And I think the most important reason to be vegan is for animals. And I think most people would argue that being vegan is about recognizing the rights of animals. But I think that, have you seen Dominion?
Yes, 2 times.
Yeah.
Cry all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I think it is a very brave act to watch that film, right? And I think for a lot of people, it's very like, they really need to have some interest or knowledge about veganism before they can watch something like that. Because people say to me all the time, oh, I can't watch it because if I do, I'll be vegan. If you say that, like, why? Like, is that because you feel like what you're doing is wrong? Like, you know, it's not good to support what you see on the screen. So I find that very interesting. So yeah, I would say for a lot of people, like the health argument is very, very popular. But also now there's sort of like a fourth argument now, which is quite interesting, is pandemic prevention. So a lot of these viruses and things like that, they originate from animals, and COVID-19 is no different, right? From what we understand, it came from abusing several animals in a food chain before someone consumed that animal, and then it mutated, and now it became a human to human virus, and it's caused so much like havoc around the world. So yeah, many reasons to go vegan, but those, I guess, are like the four main ones.
So you indicate 4 main reasons. The first one is the health. The second one will be the environment. The third one is more about compassion for animals. And the fourth one is the pandemic or virus that related to animals.
Prevention.
So
yes.
For you, it's just my guess. I guess that the reason that the main reason for you to become vegan, I guess you have a compassion for them.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think to label yourself as vegan means that the animals are the forefront of your that decision. If you look at the definition of veganism, it's entirely about non-exploitation of animals to the best of your ability. And I think that sort of like like when people see dogs being abused, right? The reaction is like in people is like, it's very heartbreaking to see like animals that we have relationships with, like with dogs, suffer, right? So, but what sort of like motivates me is like, I don't see that, I don't see what happened, like, I don't see a difference between a dog and a cow, right? So for me, my life, I feel like there are 75 billion dogs, that animals that are all worthy of life, and they're being mistreated, and we are killing them needlessly for our own benefit or for our own like sensory pleasure every year, and it's completely needless. And it's sort of like, the way I see it is like, it's like the tragedy of one death is sort of being amplified to the point where there's just so many animals being killed, you can't fathom it. And I think like that's really what kind of motivates me to do something about it, because I feel like this is a very serious issue. And I think it's not like now, because we are, we have so much access to information, we have all this great technology, and we have the ability to change, right? We have the ability to change and grow. I feel like now is the time that we see this as a real issue and try and address it as a society.
I'm totally agree with that. And also, it's very interesting for me because you are a British, right? So I think many people from your country will be so crazy about cheese and milk, you know, all the dairy products. So becoming a vegan is so challenging, so difficult for people from Western country like you. For example, my husband, he's French, so he can you know, say no to meat or fish, but it's so hard for him to, you know, to say, oh, I will not eat cheese at all in my life. Is something so hard for him. So how about you? What do you think about giving up dairy products?
You know, I don't see cheese as food. I don't see milk as food. So when I see milk, I don't see a white liquid. I see something that has been denied violently to her child, right? When I see meat, it's the same. I don't see like a meal. I see the flesh of an animal that, you know, lived a life of suffering and pain and was killed violently to get that, right? So yeah, it's possible for sure. And I think like once you understand why, and you just do it. I think it's important that that people can act on their morals. People know that killing animals unnecessarily is wrong, right? We don't support, you know, cats and dogs. They have rights. They're not killed for food, right? We respect those animals, but farmed animals, we for whatever reason it is, we see them differently. We don't see them as animals. We don't recognize their right to live. We use them for our selfish purposes.
Yes, yeah, I totally agree. You know, I have not a long time ago, a few months ago, I read an article about a survey, like they asking people why you become a vegan. What trigger you become a vegan? So a lot of people say, I watched a documentary called ABC and it inspired me to become vegan. A lot of them will say, I have a friend who is a vegan and he or she inspired me to become a vegan. Or, you know, like there's some of the triggering thing that make them become vegan. And I think having a friend who is a vegan, I think is a really a strong, a good condition.
Motivator, maybe.
Yeah, motivator for another person to become vegan or vegetarian. So that's why I'm asking you. You are a vegan for a long time. That's why I don't know. Have some of your friends have been inspired by you and they have changed their thinking, their mindset about the way they eat and.
Yeah, I mean, people have said that, oh, I don't eat as much many animal products now, and people say that to me. So yeah, I mean, obviously that's great, and that's why I'm here, and that's why, you know, like that, I guess is like my purpose in life, I guess, is to kind of to help kind of facilitate that movement and that change. And I think it's something that will come with time. But I hope that like through my activities it will come faster.
Yes, so that's why I think you already done a great part through Sống, Thuần Chay. I don't know, it's such a dedication and such a courage and a passion for you to create this Sống, Thuần Chay organization. And I'm very curious why you created and run it as a local organization, and everything is in Vietnamese. And is there any challenge? Is there any difficulty for you to, you know, to run it?
The reason that kind of it's in Vietnamese is because there are already so many great resources for veganism, or for new vegans or established vegans in the West, right? There's a lot of great information in English that was tremendously helpful, right? Cowspiracy, Seaspiracy, Dominion, Earthlings, What the Health, and then all these websites. And you'll find thousands, millions of recipes, and it really helps, right? And like I said, for me trying to help people, for me trying to help animals, and sort of I'm living in Vietnam and I love it and I want to stay, sort of I realized that I can do that here. And yeah, I think for me it was sort of like, well, Vietnam needs this, right? We need resources like this. That was why kind of it was created. And it's sort of like, I didn't really start it with the intention of sort of like becoming an organization with multiple staff and launching all these kind of campaigns. It was just, at that stage, it was just, let's build a website, right? So we built a website that had sort of like basic information about veganism. And then it was like, well, actually, like, yeah, if you have a website, you have to find a way for people to look at it, right? So you have to do marketing, right? So then that was something I didn't really think about. I was like, well, you know what? I have a degree in design. I help some friends with another vegan page. So yeah, maybe I can help them. And yeah, it just kind of grew from there. Did the social media, and we did quite well. Like I had some ideas for, okay, how can we amplify this message? And yeah, we launched some videos early on, and within sort of like 3 months, I think we had like 5,000 followers, and you know, and then it enabled us to be heard by other people in the vegan community outside of Vietnam who were interested in helping. Yeah. So that's kind of been beneficial for me to realize that, okay, it's not just like a website or a Facebook page, it's also like an organization, which is what we are now. We have full-time staff, we have you know, we have development plans for the future activities, sort of like how we can grow. So yeah, that was kind of like the main reason for it being Vietnamese is, okay, like I said, anh chạy như thế nào, I didn't feel like people had a lot of great resources. So I thought, well, maybe we can add to that.
Yeah, so I think it's a really, actually it's a really good move. Totally agree. There's not a lot of information available in Vietnam. For this vegan lifestyle. And at the moment, I noticed that you have a very popular event. It's called 7 Days Vegan Challenge. So could you share a bit about that, about this event?
So it's like, I don't know what the word is, like a campaign
challenge.
Yeah, event. Like, so basically what it is, yeah, it's like, it's a personal challenge. So what we do is we encourage people to adopt a plant-based diet for 7 days, and in that 7 days we show people that, okay, being vegan is, so we'll invite people to join the challenge and say, look, it's 7 days, give it a go. And then I think that people after 7 days, they realize, okay, this isn't as difficult as I thought. And oh, you know what, I don't have to eat animal products with every meal. It's not necessary for me to do that. So yeah, we invite people to sign up for the challenge. They'll receive plenty of information. They'll also be connected to a Facebook group where they have trained staff from our side that can answer any questions. So if you have any nutrition questions, we can answer them. If you have any practical questions like, oh, you know, I don't like tofu, how can I make it more interesting? And we have people that can answer those questions. So it's kind of a supportive community of our team and also other participants that kind of encourage people to be vegan for 7 days. So the benefit for people is that they can make friends, learn some new recipes, and challenge themselves. But also, like, we encourage people to be active. So we have prizes for some of our participants. So yeah, it's
interesting. Yeah. And how often do you organize this event? Like once a month, or how often?
It starts every Saturday. So we have a new challenge that starts every Saturday.
Every Saturday, every week.
Every week, yes. Yeah, because I feel like for me, I could be wrong, and it's something we can explore in the future. But if people want to, like, we have enough people to make the challenge interesting each week. But I think for people, if they want to go vegan, then let them do it when they want to, right? And I think that we tell people, like, if they sign up on Wednesday, like, we want you to start the challenge on Saturday, but you have 2 days to prepare. So that might mean like buy more, prepare some vegan products, or go shopping, buy more fruit, grains, that kind of thing. And you start the challenge on the Monday, and then we encourage you to be vegan for those 7 days, and then it's your choice. But sort of for me, the interesting thing is people do the challenge, but they still are active in the group. They're still participating in and encouraging others to cook more plant-based meals and make really delicious food too, right? Because yeah, it's not a sacrifice to be vegan. I think there are plenty of great ways to eat whole food, plant-based. And I think that's also what's helped the movement, is that chefs are seeing that people want to eat, you know, in this kind of a planet and animal friendly way, and they've kind of been creative with the dishes. And I think that some of the food you get in some of these vegan cafes, I'm sure in Australia, is really, really interesting, like a lot more interesting than just steak and chips or some meat dish, you know. There's some really creative vegan food. So yeah, that's the 7-day vegan challenge. It's in Vietnamese. If there's some English speaking listeners, then they could also check out Challenge 22, which is very similar to our program, but encourages to be vegan for 22 days. And it's a similar program. People make a commitment to be vegan for that period of time, and they have support and all their questions answered, right? Because like you said, right, or like we said earlier, you need to know a vegan to be vegan. So sort of like the Challenge 22 or the ngay Thuần Chay campaign is kind of exposing people to people that are vegan and don't find it difficult, and that are healthy and happy with it.
Wonderful. And Scott,
are you going to do the challenge now, Joy?
Yes, I will.
Yes, awesome. Good.
I will. I didn't know it's a weekly. I thought it's like monthly, but it's beautiful that, you know, like you say, it should be as often as possible so that people can join at any time. And
I mean, yeah, there's like Veganuary in the UK, which encourages people to be vegan for 1 month, or for January, and that really gets people excited because they have like the whole year to prepare for it. So it's kind of like, you know, it's a decision that we've made, and we might change it in the future. So we might have a vegan month campaign. We'll see. But I think for most people, 7 days is a good amount of time to try. It's really not that difficult. That's why we kind of wanted people to join that.
And Scott, one more question for you. I think it can be quite interesting as well.
Okay.
Have you heard of a kind of statement, of a sentence saying that there's 2 things that we shouldn't discuss about? The first thing is politics. Second thing is the religion. These 2 things are, you know, it's quite easy to trigger emotions in people. But I realized actually there's one more thing, which is the diet. So what do you think about this? And would you share about vegan to any of your friends, or any of your, you know, of anyone that's sitting in front of you? Or you will wait for them to ask you about diet first before you share? What do you think about this?
That's interesting. So I think for us, like, what did you say, religion and politics? So I think for me, like, I'm very interested in discussing those things, but I do it in a way that I'm just trying to like learn more. I think it's very important to talk about these things, because I think that, and I think that when we're in a group of people that agree with us all the time, it's very difficult. It's very easy for those ideas to become solidified and become kind of dogmatic in your thinking, so that you cannot see in any other perspective. So I think that there's a skill in talking about these things, and I think it's very important. A lot of people say like, oh, if we don't talk about these things, then things will be better. I kind of disagree, but I would say that we need to talk about these things, but we need to do it in a better way. So, but having said that, I would not talk about religion or politics or veganism with everyone. I think that it requires an open mind, or to talk about these things, right? So, you know, with myself, like, you know, I don't have much of an affection for Donald Trump, right? I don't.
Me neither.
I'm sure you're the same.
No.
Right, but I think that for me it was throughout the kind of the election, I thought, let me listen. Like, why is this guy? Why do people appreciate this guy? Why does he have so many fans? Like, I don't think you can make it as simple as people are racist or people are bigoted or people have this blah blah blah. I just think like genuinely people like Donald Trump and they appreciate what he has to say, and I think that, you know, you have to listen to that and respect that and understand why people see it that way. And I think it's the same with politics, and also I think it's the same with veganism. I think that, you know, like with you, I can see that you're quite open-minded and you've already watched Dominion, so I'll be very honest about veganism, right? And how I feel about it. But if someone, you know, if I meet someone and they're interested about, you know, they go to the gym and they're worried about protein, then I'll tell them like, watch the Game Changers and you know, eat more plant-based high protein foods. It doesn't necessarily, you know, you don't have to start talking about animals. So yeah, I think like people have to decide, I think, who they're willing to have a conversation with. But I think if you want to change society, and I think that we need to, I don't think we can afford to carry on living the same way that we are. I think to change society, we have to use the word trigger. I think you do have to trigger people, right? I don't like to be the one that triggers it. I don't really like doing that, but I think like there are greater things at stake. And I think that we have to be careful with how we do it. But, you know, I watched, I remember reading a book from like a Hindu or Indian-based kind of guru, yoga teacher, and they were talking about the benefits of not eating animals. And I was like, what? Like, no, I need to eat fish and chicken. It's good for my health. I need it. And I was triggered, right? But from being triggered initiated that change, right? So this is kind of where it becomes a very interesting conversation to have. But I think that we do need to trigger people, but we need to do it in the right way, and we need to trigger their curiosity, not their anger, right? But it's not easy, right? Like, I know for me, like sometimes people say to me like, where do you get your protein, right? And I've been vegan for so long, I've heard that so often, it triggers me, right? But I have to remind myself, like, you know, still to this day, I have to remind myself, actually, like, they might just not know. You know, it's not that they're trying to annoy me or upset me, because, you know, like, those people do exist, right? But it might just be that they're curious. So yeah, it is very difficult. But yeah, I think, yeah, if you don't talk about a problem, it doesn't go away of itself, right? If you're in a, you know, I think the easiest example for people to relate to is if you're in a marriage or any kind of romantic relationship. If you have a problem, you have to talk about it, you have to solve it, right? And likewise, I think with, you know, ultimately veganism is about our relationship with animals. So to heal that relationship, we have to talk about it. We have to talk about the animals. We have to talk about how we can live a life without hurting them unnecessarily, like we're doing. So yeah, I don't know, that it's kind of like yes and no is the answer to your question, Joy.
I think it requires a lot of wisdom when you need to discuss or you need to talk about this kind of topic, like religion, politics, and diet. A lot about wisdom, a lot about open mind.
Sure.
Open mind, open heart. All right. Thank you, Scott, for your sharing.
You're welcome.
It's really interesting, and really, I'm really feel touched to hear some of your sharing during the conversation. And I really hope that you will continue to maintain and pursue this lifestyle, which is wonderful. And also you and Sống Thuần Chay will continue to be an inspiration for many people, especially the community in Vietnam. And I hope that this episode will also trigger some people, trigger something.
Yeah, I like that word.
Yes,
it's not a nicer trigger, right? But
yes.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you very much for inviting me. And like I said, I hope people have have excited people's curiosity at least. And yeah, if they want to find out more about my work, yeah, you can. I have a personal page and Green Scott, and obviously you can follow Sống Thuần Chay, and yeah, feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Yes, definitely.